Hello and many thanks for joining us. This is Off the Press on Plus TV Africa. As usual, we'll take a look at all the major headlines, and we have an analyst in the house to help us make sense of it. I'm talking about Ekene Ezeji. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Yeah, pleasure as always.
All right, we have the Vanguard, we have the Nation, we have the Punch, we have ThisDay. Now, on the Vanguard front page, we have revolution call. You can't change government without polls, presidency tells Sowore. Angry reactions as DSS confirms arrest moves him to Abuja. No going back on today's protest. NIM pro-Biafran groups opt out. Buhari's government behaving like Abacha's Soyinka. It's bad democratic temperance, says Afenifere. It's leadership incompetence. Oshun Tokun, and then not part of call for revolution protest, CNJ. These are some of the writers to that screamer, and we're actually just having that conversation before we came on air. Now, at the top of the paper, we have 9 banks scale CBN's dividend hurdle for fail. Rescue of kidnapped victims in Ogun. How the battle was won. That's some victory for the Nigerian police, and I mean we should amplify it. One life saved is something. Kudos to the Nigerian security agencies for the rescue of those kidnapped victims, but they should do more, of course. State of the Nation, June 12th can recall. That's Kolade. Why is he saying that? You need to go read details on page 52 of the paper. On the front page, we have this rescue operation. A man is rescued from mudslide with the help of local divers somewhere in Abuja last weekend following the torrential rains, and left. A truck of Federal Fire Service arrive on the scene. Wow, that's amazing. We also have something on Benue. 81 headsmen convicted, 3,000 cows seized at Tum. We also have federal government earmarks 2.25 billion naira for Ruga in 2019 budget, president say. Koza, angry reaction trail Pastor Fatoyibo's return to pulpit. Yeah, that's another one. For you, a little bit of trade here. We have Flutterwave partners, Alipay to boost Africa-China trade. I'll find the little details on page 22 of the paper. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Cartoon is also here. We'll come to that in a bit if we have time. On the back page of the Vanguard newspaper, we have sports. We'll get to that in a bit. But let's just get to it, and I'm hungry to hear her thoughts on this revolution call.
Yes, like you said, we had already started airing our views before we came on air. It's good to be measured in the way we engage with this particular topic, because it has that tendency to be emotive. There's a lot at stake here. Some people may mistake it for being a defense of Sowore as a person, but actually it's more for those who support what he was doing may well fall into the category of supporting him because he's speaking for them, not necessarily because they endorse him as a person. So they're saying, look, we are saying that the conditions for a revolution have been met. Because when I look at the definition of a revolution, it includes when the population revolts against the government. So you're looking at a mass, expression of dissatisfaction. And for me, that is the key element I want to focus on, to say, look, you can't govern the people against their will. And if you felt, or if you feel you have the confidence of people, which is what a democracy is about, when you go to the polls, you're saying the majority, voted for me. If you have that confidence, then why not sit back and let those people defend you? Or because nobody is going to do anything without you. If I'm trying to think, what are you afraid of? You're afraid of something violent happening overnight.
Yeah, I think the police specifically pointed out that the issue of the word, the use of the word revolution and day of rage. Now
some may take issue with that, and to some extent, I wouldn't say I'm oblivious to why that could be provocative. But I'm trying to say that, looking at it, because you made a point earlier, if you were, a parent in a house and children where someone was threatening to take the mother out, that's exactly what we're looking at. If you're a parent, you should be more mature than your children. You should be able to sit back with a degree of maturity and have an overview and be able to estimate the threat. You don't, as they say in legal terminology, you don't crack a nut with a sledgehammer. You don't go for it full throttle. You give people cause, and you be seen to be measured and temperate. At the moment, the government seems to be overreacting, and they're giving people cause who didn't previously align with Sowore to now align, because they feel that if this can happen to him, then it can happen to all of us.
Okay, there's this question that keeps reoccurring, and that's, the timing and the purpose of the, there's a lot of dissatisfaction in the land, and there are so many issues.
And sorry, just to add to which, they mentioned the polls as a means of, now had the elections gone in a way people felt, oh, this was a reflection of the people's will, I doubt that people will be so provoked now. There's a sense in which that election has been over and over again analyzed as not having been free and fair and transparent. So that leaves people powerless to a large extent.
In specific, I actually spoke with Sowore and I asked him, what in specific terms do you hope to achieve with this protest? And his response was that there's a lot of dissatisfaction in the land. And I put that same question to you. What in specific terms does this protest, because protest, as we know, everybody has that right. We know that. We talk about it all the time. But in specific terms, what do you hope to achieve? Is it a change of government? If it is a change of government, how do you intend to go about getting this done?
The truth is, for the average person, and I dare say, I mean, I'll try and speak for the average person, they may have just thought, look, I want my voice heard. I want to vent. I want to make sure that I'm not silenced as well as oppressed. And so that's why most, if not all, democratic governments allow people that freedom to express themselves and to express their grievances. That's what most countries that understand democracy say, look, you're allowed, no matter how unpleasant it is for me. You know, you've seen what's happening in Hong Kong. You see what happens across the world. People protest. Even people said this same government, the same government that is clamping down on this protest, use the same means to go street to street, President Buhari, to protest against what he saw as an injustice.
Before we move on from this topic, I want to quickly get your thoughts on the DSS spokesperson, or is it the SSS spokesperson now? When he was asked, he said something about the fact that Sowore was a presidential candidate in the election, makes, as much as he is entitled to, you know, speak out against injustice, makes the protest, the alleged protest now, a bit more complicated, because it looks like his purpose for the protest is now in question because he lost out in the presidential election. People are saying that who knows why other people are thinking that this man is out for their own purpose. It could be that he has hidden agenda.
I don't think that they're in a position to judge, because what they're doing is preemptive strike. They're judging someone before he's had a chance. And anyway, now that he's been taken out, why are they still nervous about the protests going on, since your problem is with him? They're just nervous, period, and they're overreacting. My problem is the fact that civil liberties are at stake. That's actually my beef with all of this. I'm not comfortable to be in a country where we've just had the Shiite issue. We're not happy with the proscription of the Shiites, and you move on with this. There's a sense in which you're gagging the people. You have to let them express themselves, whether you like it or not. That's what democracy is all about.
Let's move on to the Nation newspaper. We have Manchester City beat Liverpool to win Community Shield. That's a sports story, and the victory dance on the front page of the Nation newspaper for you. We also have power sector just above the picture. We have power sector, technocrat sick probe of Obasanjo Jonathan. And then the bigger one here is presidency, DSS, activists clash over planned protests. Today is the day.
You can't get away from it, right? But I did want to come back to the one we were saying should have been amplified, because it is important to amplify the good things that are happening. So when people who are kidnapped are released or recovered, we should celebrate that, because for me, it still says that human life is valuable in this country. We do, you know, I don't think anyone wants Nigeria to fail, because all of us fail if Nigeria fails. So when we see positives, we need to applaud them. You know, so I'm happy that those people were recovered. I want to hear of more and more of the stories. Last week, I think we talked of 300 people in Zamfara being recovered. We want to hear of more and more. That's a victory for everyone. That's a victory for Nigeria.
Well, this story is not going anywhere anytime soon until the end of today, because the feelers we got earlier this morning is that as at 7 a.m. there was nobody at the location of the proposed protest,
okay,
that the gates was locked, and that there are heavy security at that location. Well, the papers are running with the story.
Even Wike has stepped in to issue his own threats. I think you must have read of Governor Wike saying anybody who comes out to protest will be arrested. He's already said nobody should try it in his state. I just feel there's a lot of heavy-handedness going on. People are forgetting. It's like the tail wagging the dog. You were elected to serve the people. Democracy is the governance. We had a
protest in this country that nobody was arrested. I think it was in 2013. This fuel subsidy protest.
Yes, Occupy Nigeria.
Occupy Nigeria.
And that was much more.
Occupy Nigeria. There was a purpose to that protest,
yeah,
and Nigerians came out. I think the argument here and which any logical, aside maybe people might want to subscribe to, is the fact that there doesn't seem to be a definitive purpose to this protest. Even the Hong Kong protests we're talking about came as a result of
I think I
think it's about going to try someone in another part of China when they were, and from that it moved on to other things.
What I'm trying to say is anybody who holds on to things like semantics, really, as far as I'm concerned, revolution, the word revolution, or purpose, is just holding on to I don't know, the leaf. Because really, everybody knows that when people come out to protest, there's a mixed multitude. A lot of it, what is buried underneath all of that is dissatisfaction. So what you need to do is get at the root of why are your people so dissatisfied, rather than trying to clamp down on the expression of dissatisfaction. It's not going to get you anywhere.
All right, still on the Nation newspaper, we also have another big issue today, and that's the El Zakzaky court case. Police are warning against any sort of procession, because it seems that's the daughter of El Zakzaky has come to say the spokesperson for Shiites is not speaking for me. As far as I'm concerned, the protest will continue until my father
Interesting. Because I think today they're meant to rule on whether he goes to India with his wife for treatment.
Yeah, so the police is warning, that's how they put it here. El Zakzaky, police warn against procession. We also have investors' losses hit 1.38 trillion naira. That's a bit of business. We also have 117 million naira items recovered from Senator. Of course, we have the situation in the U.S. In the space of days, there was mass shooting, 29 dead in Ohio, Texas shootings, and they're saying it's one of the worst mass shooting in U.S. history. It's just really sad.
It is, and there's that undercurrent of nationalistic crime, because they're targeting the Hispanics of that segment of society. They're going into El Paso is predominantly Hispanic, and it just smacks of this white supremacist kind of crime, and you have to wonder, is that kind of crime gaining, or is it being given oxygen because of the stance of the president, where he seems to be endorsing a certain nationalistic view of things? Again, we have to be very careful with that.
We have to be very careful with that as well, because this latest shooting has not been, the purpose has not been confirmed. No. Although the shooter has been identified and killed.
Two of them, one was killed, one was apprehended.
Yeah, but there's another shooting.
Yes.
There was another shooting.
Yeah, one of the
just
shooters.
One person this time. The sister. He shot his sister. Yeah. All right. On the back page of the Nation, we have in touch above the fray, liberty, protest, and security. That will be a must-read for me. Sometimes you think you have all the ideas, and then you find someone else's perspective. That's great. The Punch newspaper is next for review. What a bill to bring back Ruga, South Middle Belt. We also have Fatou Yibo resumes 1 month after rape allegation. We're going to come to that in a bit. Revolution Now saga. Protesters Buhari group may clash. Soyinka others knock presidency. Police panic. IG sends alarm message to CPs. Reveal your identity. Buhari tells protest sponsors we won't participate in anti-FG protest, not in groups. We also have a picture here that doesn't look really nice. I think that's the Market Canal, Idi Araba Market by Lowasen bus stop, somewhere in Lagos, Surulere. That's the picture for you. Not so good. Politics. Aminu Kanu's disciple, says Jega. Please probe Lekki strippers video. Techno mounts defense. Operators tackle federal government over Emirates double daily flights. We also have a bit of business at the very top of the Punch paper. Let's see at the back what's on there. Ruga, Fura, and blind interventions. And then, of course, we have the story here about residents of Sapele scooping diesel from a fallen tanker. I am exhausted with this situation.
It's like really desperation blinds people
the
to
poverty
the risks.
In the land is so, because people know that this is dangerous. They would rather take
it's like
risk.
Russian roulette, as they say.
All right, let's hear your thoughts. Let's start with this. Fatou Yibo resumed 1 month after rape allegation. He had his sermon.
I was thinking about that on my way in this morning, and I thought it reminded me, strangely enough, of the story of Solomon and the two women, that they came to judge between them. One of the ladies had said, "This is my baby." The other one said, and we knew that the person whose baby it was not was prepared to sacrifice the baby, cut the baby in half, because he proposed that just to find out where the person's heart was. And the real mother of the child said, no, 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 keep the baby rather than. And Fatwa Imbo, strangely enough, reminds me of a mother who said, sacrifice the baby in half. The reason I say this, I know it sounds a bit radical, is that you're a lover of the church. What you're doing is really tantamount to sacrificing the image and the identity of the church and the reputation just so you can satisfy your own desire to be at the pulpit. I dare say there are many ways you can serve beyond going to pulpit, but by standing at that pulpit a month later, it's not enough to show that you're ready to just lay down something so that something greater than yourself can just revive itself.
Do you actually see this case going further? Because as it stands, there's a lot of behind-the-scene conversations that we don't know about. And like most things in Nigeria, there are people that are saying the possibility is there that, you know, that's the sadness about this, is that you're seeing so much politics in the church. It's actually disheartening, because this is where you'd look to see a little more, do you say simplicity, a little more genuineness. And instead, you're seeing people who are wielding power like politicians. It puts you off, which is why I'm saying he really should have just stayed back and let the church revive itself, because people are losing. I would be very uncomfortable listening to him preach a sermon. It doesn't matter whether he's guilty or innocent. We have something, I missed that one on the Punch. You said fourth wife joins Sanusi 4 years after wedding. We also have AAUA demands prosecution of soldiers who gang raped students.
Oh, wow.
That's something for you on the front page of the paper.
I think I'm very happy about that. The immediacy of the reaction, you know, I like that. It communicates something more than just
My worry
justice.
is that Nigerians, we don't lack a desire to see things change, but we lack follow through. That is, this
is why I like the revolution now approach.
We have the fuel subsidy. We have the fuel subsidy situation, and where I was at the time, my heart was palpitating that change is going to come, you know, and then we saw everything dry out like
I wonder why that is.
I don't know, but let's see what the ThisDay newspaper has to say this morning. Buhari days of coup revolution over, reaffirms respect for rights to protest, criticized government. Nigeria back to repressive days of Abacha regime, says Soyinka. Laureate statement, unpardonable blackmail presidency replies. Falana, protest march not treasonable. Wike others arrest of revolution now protesters. You mentioned that earlier. INEC, APC, PDP others missed the deadline on submission of audited accounts. Let's see what's at the top of the paper. FG gets Siemens plan to raise power supply to 25,000 megawatts. That would be amazing. We have Nigerian insurers may lose 72% of Dangote refineries, risk others. And on the back page, we have Alice Oti saying, Alan Oyema, the peaceful man behind Air Peace. All right.
I want to talk about Siemens, actually, because it's clear this is a company that's German-based and German in origin, and people have come across Siemens products, you know, technology and so on, and they have had some degree of success with Egypt in terms of their power resuscitation. So that's encouraging, because Egypt was one of the countries that had severe, you know, the similar challenges, if not worse, than we have had with a larger population. So similar in a way, and worse because their population and the challenges of what they faced would be considered more significant than ours. And yet Siemens have been able to intervene, and they've seen significant improvement. So it's encouraging. And what I read about the Siemens intervention is that it brings together distribution, production, and all the various arms together under one roof. The sad aspect, though, is that we're more likely to trust a foreign company to execute this for us, because what we're trying to do is cut out the corrupt aspects that usually sneak in when you start allowing other aspects. So it's like an admission on our part that we cannot trust ourselves, and unless we basically give it out to other people, we're not confident that the job will get done. But another positive aspect is that clearly there's money to be made in terms of the power sector, or Siemens wouldn't be getting involved on so large a scale. They're promising quite a number of things. They're going to resuscitate. They've even stated, you know, the degree of how they're going to do it, how they're going to systematically overhaul, you know, the Enugu, and they're going to, you know, build power plants. They have a plan, and clearly they have. It's a workable plan because there's money involved, and they're not doing it for free. They're going to get paid. So this is something that wasn't rocket science. You just needed someone who was accountable, transparent, and could show you a working plan, which we haven't till now. So we're looking forward to seeing what Siemens can do.
All right, Ekene, thank you very much for coming on the program. I always wish there's more time.
I'm glad we ended on a positive note because we need some. Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick look at the Complete Sports before I say my bye-byes to you. Complete Sports says why we signed Mikel. That's the club's president, former Nigeria captain, set sight on debut Thursday. We have FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup 2020. FIFA inspection team arrives Nigeria today. That's something else for you. Madrid end Pogba transfer move. Onyekuru on verge of Monaco transfer, agrees personal terms with League One club. Inter consider freezing Icardi out for 2 years. That's something for you on the front page. Neymar edges closer to Barcelona return. And of course, we have on the back page of Vanguard some story about City clinch Community Shield at Wembley. That's a trending topic. Onyekuru, Everton disagree over Monaco deal. That's different from what we have on the Complete Sports. Pogba seeks to force through Madrid move. These are some of the headlines you will find on the pages of the Complete Sports newspaper. Of course, the back page of Vanguard also has a couple more stories for you. That's where we're going to wrap things up this morning. As always, I am grateful for your company. Thank you for watching. We hope you had a thought move here and there. And of course, Ekene has been very kind to spare her time with us this morning. Thank you again.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, go have a great week yourself. Bye-bye now.